Last week I took the kids to the Washington Wetland Centre. We hadn't been for 5 years. We went on my daughter's second birthday and she is 7 now and my son's 2. So it had been a little while. The main reason that we went was to see the ducklings. We'd watched a video on YouTube from the website all about ducklings before we went, all about how they're born in the duckery and looked after. So my daughter was really enthusiastic about going and we arrived just in time to hear the dog talk and to stroke some ducklings. I'm Amy from Whiteacres and I help you create a business image that is consistent, compelling and client attractive. So I'm going to tell you that being a duckling is a bit like creating a brand identity. When a duck egg is laid, it's taken to an incubator to be kept safe. Your business might be new or it might be established, but either way, when you have your brand identity designed, either for the first time or maybe you want to have a rebrand, this happens in the incubator. The eggs are looked after at the perfect temperature and humidity and checked really carefully and regularly using a technique called candling, which is like shining a torch inside the egg to see how big the duck is. Your brand identity needs to be checked regularly against the brief, nurtured and brought to life carefully to ensure that it's perfect for your business. You need to ask a lot of questions to test it out and make sure that it encompasses what you're all about. You wouldn't just crack an egg open before the duck's ready. You need to make sure that your brand identity is fit for purpose, compelling, consistent and client attractive. When the egg is ready to hatch, it's taken to the hatchery. And in the hatchery, the eggs are kept at a really high humidity and the ducks hatch. And when your brand identity is ready to reveal to the world, it needs to be hatched too, in the right conditions and with a bit of noise, hopefully, unless you're going for stealth. And this is the point where you will email your list. You will make sure that you make loads of social media updates. You will sprinkle your brand everywhere that you can possibly think about. You need to think about how you can use that opportunity to expand your reach, generate more awareness and increase your list, among other things. After birth, the ducklings are taken to the duckery, which is a bit like a nursery for ducks. They start in something called a dry breeder, where they feed on the egg yolk, and then they eat something called crumb, which is full of protein and carbohydrates to help them grow. And as the ducklings get bigger, they're given deeper water so they can learn to swim. With your brand identity, you might need some help to get started too. You should have some brand guidelines, and these are a really great resource to help you out. If they're really good, then you won't need anything else, except for maybe some basic skills in whatever program it is that you want to use to create whatever you need to create. So you might be going to use Canva is a really popular one, or you might just want to use Word or PowerPoint or Publisher, or you might want to step it up a notch and try using Illustrator or InDesign. You might receive training or a video to help you use your website or help you create graphics. And your designer should always be at the end of the phone because they're a really handy person to know. Everybody's different, so if you feel that you don't have the necessary skills or the time, then you might need extra support to help you create the graphics that you need for your business. When the ducklings get bigger, they move outdoors. And this helps them to get vitamin D. They have grass and ponds. They start really shallow and then they get deeper as they get bigger, and they have little mats to protect their feet, and they have some shelter and a heat lamp. And then when they're not ducklings anymore and they're actual proper real life ducks, they move off into the wetland centre. So when your business gets bigger, you might need to move too. You might need more help creating your designs. You might have more design requirements, or you may even need to tweak your brand identity to fit a new direction or a new audience. You might employ other people who need to know how to work with your brand identity. So you need to make sure that those brand guidelines I mentioned earlier are understood by them as well as by you. Perhaps you have a membership site now, or maybe you've started attending loads of events and you need exhibition graphics, or you might have lots of opt-ins or workbooks, or you might be needing packaging for your products or video thumbnails because you're making loads of videos. There is just such a huge list of things that you could need as your business grows. So as you can see, being a duckling and having to grow through all of this process and being held through it to help you get to a point where you can go off and do different things is a bit like having a brand identity created and going from scratch at the beginning and being, looking after it and making sure that you ask all the questions and, so you're sort of feeding your designer with all of this crumb and the egg yolk and all that stuff to make sure that they know what they need. And then helping you, like the ducks are helped with all of the water being shallow and made deeper, helping you be able to take control of your brand identity as well and then change it and move it. And as like the ducks go outside and they move to a bigger place, you might need to move to a bigger place as well. So it's that's where that comes from. But we had a really, really good time at the Wetland Centre, and we didn't just learn about ducks, we also fed lots of geese, or overfed them in my son's case. We saw flamingos, we saw loads of other different kinds of birds as well. We saw otters, did loads of walking. It was a really good day, and my kids really enjoyed playing on the slides at the end as well in the play park. So creating a brand identity should also be fun. It is a very serious task. You need to ask important questions and create something which is really perfect for your business, that's aligned with your values and that resonates with your ideal client. But if it's not a fun process, it's not going to light you up and you won't feel motivated to use all these new elements that you're going to end up with. So don't forget to have fun, enjoy yourself and get excited about the end result as well.